Overtime beers.
Is that that's how we're consistently going to start overtime episodes? I really enjoy
Or we could do pants down double OT.
And I completely forgot my rape whistle from last week. Easily one of the funniest things. I must have watched that intro a dozen times. Because you were saying it with a lisp, right?
Yeah, I had some goofy voice going.
So
This is an awful pour. Another.
yeah, pour another then. Let me start out with this when it comes to the overtime segment. I have never had a more depressing week one of an NFL season than what just happened this past weekend. I wanted the Ravens to win. They lost. I wanted the Bears, Vikings, and Lions to lose. I thought, well, maybe, our survivor picks, which I took Atlanta, they got beat by Pittsburgh. You took the
I took
Giants
New York.
way off.
Oh.
They got destroyed
Yeah.
by the Vikings. Okay, so none of those are right.
We'll start that over this week.
I decided to do some prize picks. Those things hit. I did 3. None of them hit. Real bad stuff there. And then finally on Monday night, I'm like, okay, at least there's a shot that Aaron Rodgers comes and just surprises San Francisco. That didn't happen. Jordan Love gets hurt. Coworkers are saying, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. It was a really tough Monday morning for me. Yeah.
Through the weekend, it was just, like you said, the NFL weekend in general was just kind of disappointing. Weird games, teams that everyone's expecting to have strong outings this last week just shit the bed and didn't play well. I mean, the Bengals got beat by the Patriots. Did you see the Patriots? They did a Gatorade bath on their coach when they beat the Bengals 16-10 week 1. What are you guys doing? Come on. Maybe that's their Super Bowl. We got one win.
Did anybody have them winning that game?
Probably not.
No.
Probably not. But that's not the attitude you want to have as an NFL team. You go into the season like, all these doubters out there, we're going to show them, and just continue to do it each week. Don't just celebrate after one win.
I guess, what was your biggest surprise?
That was probably the biggest surprise for me.
That was it for you?
The Patriots beating the Bengals. Yeah, that one was surprising. I mean, the way the Vikings played and destroyed the Giants, that was surprising. I didn't expect the Giants to destroy the Vikings necessarily, but I didn't expect that. So that was pretty surprising. Yeah, just a lot of, and I saw a post that listed like over half of the quarterbacks in the league had under 200 yards passing. It was just a down weekend for offense in general. It was, there were definitely some games that had a lot of offense, a lot of scoring, but a lot of them were kind of slow defensive games.
Yeah, the Thursday night game lived up to all the hype. I mean, It seems like an eternity ago, but just what a crazy ending to that game where these are teams that have, like Baltimore, they can't get past the Chiefs. The Colts can't get past the Texans. The Rams couldn't get past the Lions. The NFL planned a lot of these matchups to start week 1 on where their seasons ended last year. Baltimore misses a wide open throw with 7 seconds left, right? Is what it was, something, or 6 seconds left, and guys wide open in the end zone. And then they finally, you think they convert, and just within inches. I love
that much.
It reminds you how much you love football. And we text each other after that game. I'm like, God, I'm just so glad football's back. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
As far as like the games on Sunday, I found myself watching. I had to watch the Caleb Williams Bears game. I pretty much watched that entire game front to back. Boy, 17-0
Yeah,
at
he
halftime.
played super well, right?
Oh, he was so good. Probably, they might have a statue up by week 3 here with how well he's performing to start the season. But up 17-0, I'm getting ready to post some memes, but I'm like, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait until the end of the third quarter. You don't know. Football's a crazy sport, and sure as shit, they start to come back. It's terrible play by the Titans in general. A block punt. It's kind of like the Colts game, right? A block punt that leads to a touchdown, and then Will Levis just tosses him the ball for a pick six.
Here you
It
go.
was the most crazy fucking thing I've ever watched. So I had to go back to work and listen to my Bears fan coworker be an asshole on that one. I tried to watch the Cowboys and Browns game, but I honestly checked out after maybe halfway through the third quarter. That was not a good game. The Cowboys showed up to play, and then I did watch all of the Sunday Night Football game, but
that Cowboys game, I don't know if it's probably a combination of the two, but Cowboys played well. Browns really did not live up to the expectations everybody had. So there's a lot of questions about what's going on with that Browns team and if they're gonna bounce back or if that's what their season is gonna look like. But the Cowboys did look good. I mean, we kind of talked about it preseason that we feel like the Cowboys are gonna regress a little bit, but they did get CD signed to a contract. Dak's got a new contract now. He is now the highest paid player in NFL history.
Yeah.
We said it. We talked about it. The Jordan Love contract doesn't really mean anything because somebody's going to get it in a few months anyway. Happened sooner than we expected. But yeah, so their two big guys got paid.
That announcement came out on Sunday morning. And you want to, I mean, in the off season, that becomes a headline that we talk about for weeks. I honestly forgot that he got, until you just said it, I forgot that he got that contract. It was the highest paid quarterback now, like standalone, the highest paid quarterback. That all right. Now we move on to the next one.
Yeah,
that's what we do. I felt like that Cowboys game in particular, that was a Dallas team that has been sitting on that Packers loss for months and just a bad taste in their mouth. And the Browns just happened to walk into that where they were their first victim. And I think that's kind of how I took that game. I saw just so much anger going, just waiting, pent up anger to go against the Browns. As far as what they're doing at quarterback, have you seen some of those figures and numbers and guaranteed money that Deshaun Watson is owed? Like, they can't get out of that.
Yeah.
And this is the problem with overreaction Monday, Tuesday after week one. I don't know. We have to give Watson some time. I think Watson, in theory, should be better than a Joe Flacco that was able to carry him to the playoffs last year. We're going to discover to see but if for whatever reason Watson is not the same quarterback that the Browns signed a few years ago, oh my gosh, I feel so bad for that organization. They're going to end up having to cut or bench a $100 million quarterback, and that is not good.
Yeah, just a rough weekend for football. And as far as, I mean, talking about prize picks, and I do DraftKings as well, like, I mean, just unexpected poor play from a lot of players. I'm not going to lie. I actually had betting on sports via DraftKings. I actually did fairly well this opening week one.
Nice.
Yeah. But I mean, not thousands of dollars, but a couple $100, a couple $100 richer.
I'll take a couple.
So, yeah. Right. So hopefully I've found that I'm better at the showdown slates. So like you can do a showdown for, that's where you have a captain. It's one game, two teams. You have a captain spot that gets 1.5 points.
Okay.
And then you have and then it's all utility players. So it doesn't matter. You can play both quarterbacks. You can play all wide receivers, whatever. But I've found that I'm a little bit better at those. That's where the money came this weekend. So hopefully that continues. Prize picks, I didn't do so hot. I mean, I had a couple of wins here and there, but nothing big.
Yeah, I think I got $8 back on a $40 bet, but that's the extent of my prize picks.
Hey, it's something, right? And that's sports betting for you. You're gonna probably lose more than you win. So,
well, what's that?
I was gonna ask what bets you took. Was it just on the Packer game or?
No, I did one on just the Packer game, and then I did one for the noon slate of games on Sunday. The ones that didn't hit were Kirk Cousins over passing yards and Bijan Robinson scoring a touchdown. Neither of those two things happened for me. The other ones hit, but yeah, I mean, what happened to I don't know. I thought Kirk Cousins would come out and play better. I would say this: both Cousins and Rodgers coming off of lower leg injuries. I'm not going to take all the credit for this thought because it was brought up by my boss actually at work, but he brought up a good point that both Rodgers and Cousins kind of looked hesitant and gingerly
Mhm.
with their approaches, and I think that's a good observation. They both
I don't
want,
blame him.
it's going to take some time for them to get out of their own heads and not have to think about it
Yeah.
and play well. But
That Achilles injury it's a bad one. It's especially I mean, I guess I remember watching the Kirk Cousins injury and watching the replay, like, you could see it snap.
yeah,
And I had actually one of my best friends grew up across the street from him in high school. I think it was like the last day of school, he was playing like pickup basketball, ran into some bleachers, and he partially cut his Achilles tendon. So he was out of commission all summer, couldn't do two-a-days for football and stuff like that. But by the time the season came around, it had healed up enough where he could play. He played defensive back, he played corner. His first game back, he was backpedaling, turned to go along with the receiver and snap. And that tendon just rolls up and is like a golf ball sitting in the back of your calf there.
eh,
And he said it was the worst pain he's ever felt in his life. So I do not blame Rodgers or Cousins for being cautious and hesitant, but I definitely did notice that. And I mean, I didn't watch the Falcons game, but that Jets game, I mean, I'm sure it played a factor in their loss.
Rodgers looked like he just didn't want to be out there.
So like he did for the last 3 years with the Packers.
No, I mean, he looked like a guy that was like literally asking himself, "Why did I come back? I should have just, I should have just retired. I should have hung it up.
Yeah.
Life could be so much better right now, but here I am." Like, I think there was like a Jim Halpert like office meme that I saw on social
Yeah,
media
I
where he
saw
was
that.
looking at the camera, and I'm like, that sums it up.
Yeah.
They'll figure
I
it
was
out.
mean
That's a tough team that they had to go up against on Monday night, but
yeah.
that was, I don't know.
I was talking about it with my wife today. I was meaning to ask you. So obviously Rodgers was a big part of our life as Packer fans. Do you still feel the need to or the want to kind of follow what he's doing and what his success is with this other team? Because I honestly, I don't really care. I don't really care anymore.
Yeah.
It was a different feeling back when Brett Favre left and went to the Jets and then went to the Vikings. Obviously, it wasn't fun seeing him play for another team, but he had been, such a legend for the Packers when we were kids that I still kind of was interested to know how he was doing. But Aaron Rodgers, I don't think that he's going to get the Jets to a Super Bowl. I think he is past his prime. Last Monday night was evidence of that, and I guess doesn't really interest me to follow Aaron Rodgers anymore.
He looks like that guy. Yeah. That again, he's just, what are we doing out here? What am I doing with my life? What are we doing out here? I'm with you. Yeah. I'm a little bit different in the fact that when Brett Favre left, he turned into Brent Favre real quick. I didn't really care. I didn't want to see him succeed. I was going to college when I think he was playing for the Jets, or maybe he was playing for the Vikings at that point. But I was like, he's always going to throw an interception when it matters the most. I don't really care. I hope he fails, all that stuff. When it comes to Rodgers, yeah, I'll admit I'm probably one of the biggest hypocrites out there, because when he was a Packer, I was like, Pat McAfee Tuesdays. I'm watching every episode. And then I would go out and be like, did you listen to him? The guy is he's so fun. He's a good guy to listen to. He's entertaining. He does ayahuasca and goes on trips, and he's a hippie dude that plays quarterback. Now, I think I just got so exhausted with all that. And I think
Yeah.
we all can agree and take a collective sigh as Packers fans. gone. You see that trailer that he has he has a Netflix show coming out in December called Enigma.
Yeah, I didn't watch the full trailer, but I saw the start of a clip of it. Sounds like it's the little bit that I watched. He was talking about the math that goes into throwing the ball.
That's the only thing they've released on it. And I think it's he's on a plane and he's talking about, I got a 90% chance if I throw it here and 40% if I throw it here, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think personally, I believe Aaron Rodgers is the most talented quarterback to ever play the game. You talk about GOAT. You know, we talked about Tom Brady a little bit. He's the most successful quarterback in history. He's the GOAT in that aspect. But as far as talent, I think Aaron Rodgers is the most talented quarterback to ever play the game. And I think he's extremely smart. He had a ton of great years with the Packers. I am thankful for that. I loved the Aaron Rodgers years. Towards the end there, I got real sick of the drama. I think the Packers probably should have let him go even a year earlier than they did. But I was ready for the Rodgers era to be over. And I'm just not interested in continuing to follow him.
I'm with you there as far as a year earlier. I would have debates with people. Should we, because it was, do you keep Rodgers or do you keep Adams? There was that moment, right, when we still had both of them. I'm like, I'm going to keep Adams, right?
Yeah.
We don't know what we have out of Love at this point, but I would take a Adams type receiver to help develop Jordan Love and be that comfort blanket for him versus an Aaron Rodgers that I have 10 years. We won a Super Bowl, well, longer than that. We won a Super Bowl in 2011. And then for 10 years, 12 years, whatever it was, consistently fell short time in and time out, time in and time again. I was ready after that San Francisco loss at home. I think it was 10-3.
Which one?
Yeah.
Which one? There's a lot of them.
Good point.
There's a lot of them.
The second time, all right? That one where we were at home. It was the freaking winter and it was snowy and we put up like
it was the freaking winter.
7 points.
Damn winter.
Came down to special teams and we lost that game. That was a really good team that could not get over the hump. And I don't know, there's plenty of teams out there that they do get excited when they make the playoffs or they win a division title. We're spoiled. I don't care about division titles anymore. I don't care about making the playoffs. I'm all about Super Bowls. It's Super Bowl or bust every single year, quite frankly. It just got so sickening being a 13-3 team or a 11-5 team back in the day where you were making the playoffs and you were good and you're heating up and then you're falling apart. So really went a little bit off topic there. No, I don't follow Aaron Rodgers at all. I think he's a prima donna. I don't really care about any of his input or opinions anymore. I am 100% focused on Jordan Love, which is, you would have told me that 3 years ago, I would not have been on the Jordan Love train, but I am here and I love the guy. Love's a great person. He's a great human being.
He is.
And I'm excited root for him.
I mean,
you want to see it. Right. And I don't know if that's just the new quarterback flavor. Like he comes in, you're like, I want to see this guy succeed as any organization would, but
I mean, we just got done going through the drama of the last few years with Aaron Rodgers and how tired of it we were. Jordan Love is the opposite of that. He is all team. He's there for the team. He wants to be a leader. Aaron Rodgers, I don't think at any point in Rodgers' career he was a leader in the locker room. Like he was a leader in the aspect of he's the quarterback of the team, which naturally is a leader on the field because he basically he does run the offense. But in the locker room, I don't think Rodgers ever was a leader. I think some guys looked up to him. I think he had experience, but I don't think he wanted to be that vocal leader in the locker room. And Jordan Love wants to be that guy. And the rest of the team sees him as that guy. And also to see him grow, not as a player on the field, but I feel like he's grown. I don't even know what term to use for it. I just remember before the week 1 game, it was one of the last practices the Packers had. There was a locker room interview and just listening to him field questions and give well thought out answers, and the way he handled the media and handled the interview, it was, to me, showing that he's growing as a young man, as a leader on this team. So that's exciting to see. But one thing that this kind of leads into a question that I was going to ask you, because I believe in that interview, he was asked something about superstitions or something like that. He's, oh, I'm not a very superstitious guy. But the question that it brought up for me, so I don't consider myself very superstitious, but over the years as a Packer fan, I've come to realize that I am a little superstitious. So my question to you is, during Packer season, on game day, do you wear a specific jersey every week, or like a specific Packer shirt, hat every week? Is there something specific you wear for every game?
Yes. And
Okay.
so it doesn't, I'm sane enough to know it doesn't make a difference. So I guess that's the superstition part of it, right? Because I've done everything right before and they've lost. So I've seen that's it. So I realize that it doesn't matter.
I know.
But
Well, so here's what I've found that happens. So I will wear, because I mean, I have a lot of Packers gear. I've worn pretty close to every piece of Packers clothing that I own on the podcast here. So I have quite a bit. And what I find happens is I'll wear a specific, like, say I'll wear this pullover this week for the game, and say the Packers win. Next week, so week 3, I will make sure that I wear the same Packers pullover. I'll make sure I wear the same undershirt that I wore when they won. And then if they lose, I'm like, oh, I got to change it up. I got to wear something different. And like you said, I understand that it doesn't matter. But when I'm putting my Packers gear on for whatever reason, I'm like, oh, they won last week. I better wear this again. I got to make sure I wear the same outfit I wore the week that they won. You know, if they get on a winning streak, I'm like, yeah, Jordan Love jersey is doing it.
yep. No, I got superstitions and a couple things. So I wore my Packers socks on Friday to work underneath the rest of my clothes, right? I had Jordan Love
I
socks
do that
I
every
wear.
game day
Yep,
too.
Yep. So I got my
Packer
Packer socks on. I have an away jersey and I have a home jersey. So I'll wear the appropriate jersey for whether we're home or away. But probably the biggest thing that I do, and so I do Jello shots, and I make green Jello shots for offensive touchdowns, or any touchdowns, excuse me, just any touchdowns. And then I do yellow Jello shots for turnovers. So whether it's a turnover on downs, interception, fumble, we do yellow Jello shots. And there have been games that, let's just say, the team has not performed well, and it's maybe the third quarter, and you have yet to take any Jello shots. And the people that I watch games with who want a Jello shot, I'm like, no, you will not take a Jello shot until they do something. And specifically, this was probably 5 years ago. Love my brother to death. We have a close relationship with my family, but he wanted to do a Jello shot and a field goal, and it was like third quarter. So we finally did a Jello shot. He talked us into it. Packers go on to lose that game, and I did not let him live that down. I was like, this is why we don't do Jello shots on field goals. That's not what we do. It's touchdowns only.
It's your fault.
And
It's your fault. We shouldn't have taken the Jello shot.
I blamed
Otherwise,
him.
we would have won.
So to say I'm superstitious, yes, but I'm also, I also know that it makes no difference. I've watched plenty of games too where I have not worn my jerseys or I've not had my socks on and they've won, and I'm like, oh, see, everything's fine.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It's a weird mental thing. I 100% agree. I know that it doesn't make a difference. I understand that. I understand that I'm crazy for thinking that I need to wear the same outfit that I wore when they won last week. I understand that it's crazy, but I still have the need to do it every week, every year, every season.
Dude,
so, anyway,
if the Jello shots wasn't
off topic here.
No, if the Jello shots weren't crazy enough, I used to be a huge Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant, like Lakers.
Okay.
99, 2000, 2001, huge Lakers fan. And when they would make the playoffs, I would not only have my Lakers shorts that I would wear every game, but I would play the Jock Jams "Let's Get Ready to Rumble" song. I would crank it on high, and my parents had 9 acres of field, and I had a Lakers flag, and I would crank it up, and I would run the whole lot perimeter when the game started with Jock Jams blaring. Superstitious? No,
Wow.
I'm not superstitious. But the Lakers did go
Wow.
in to win a lot of championships, and I'm probably a lot to do with that, quite frankly.
It's all because of you.
Yeah.
It's all because of you streaking through your parents' field with a Lakers flag.
Yep. Oh yeah. That reminds me. I
Well,
don't have a new white away jersey this season. I have Savage here that I had to
I'm
retire.
not a big I don't buy away jerseys. I don't buy the white jerseys because I always spill something on them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm eating like chips and salsa
Yeah.
or like buffalo chicken dip or something. It never fails.
Is
If
there
I'm wearing
any
a white shirt or a white jersey, it's gonna get something on it.
football jerseys are the worst jerseys to wear in public? As a normal civilian that walks the streets, I hate football jerseys more. Like hockey jerseys
Yeah.
are probably like peak. Like I think those are
Mhm.
kind of cool. Basketball jerseys, yeah, you probably are a certain type of person that wears a basketball jersey around town, but at least you can pull it off for the most part. Football jerseys, scrawny white guys walking around on the streets who don't play professional sports with their no.
Look like you're swimming in it.
Yeah, I hate them. They don't
Yeah.
look good. I only wear them on game day. I own a shit ton of them, but I only wear them on game day. And I've stopped buying them actually because I've realized that whoever I get for a jersey, they don't stick around long and we move on with our lives.
Yeah, I think I have a hard time purchasing jerseys because I wanna get the jersey of a player that I really and also one that's gonna be
Around,
around and also remembered, right?
remembered. Mhm.
So before I got the Jordan Love jersey, or maybe even after that, after I got the Jordan Love jersey, I still had I really wanted one of the green jersey with the yellow numbers, yellow stripe.
Yeah, I like those
I
ones.
think that's a super cool jersey. And at the time, I think Adams was still around. So I was like, do I get an Adams jersey? Do I get an Aaron Jones jersey? I was already kind of sick of the Rodgers thing. So I was like, no, I don't want an Aaron Rodgers jersey. Plus, everybody has an Aaron Rodgers jersey. So I couldn't decide who I wanted. I even thought about like Bakhtiari because I want a jersey that I can wear even after they're gone, right? After they're retired or moved on. They're a legendary Packer. They were with the team and were a significant part of the team for a long time. So the only jerseys I have are the Jordan Love jersey and the Ray Nitschke jersey. Ray Nitschke's my favorite Packer of all time.
If you could buy any jersey right now for an active roster player that's not Jordan Love, who would you pick?
Gosh, that's tough because this team's so young.
I know, right? My brother wanted to buy an away jersey when we went to their Packers practice, and he was struggling with that one. I think he was going to land on Reed, but they didn't make them, or they couldn't even do a custom one, so he didn't end up getting a jersey. But yeah, who's the other Packers player guy?
I don't even know.
Yeah, it's tough.
That's so tough.
Mm-hmm.
Because this team's so young.
So my green jersey's an Alexander jersey, and I got that his rookie season. So I've been able to carry that one for multiple years now.
Yeah.
But I also have a Blake Martinez rookie year jersey, and that one didn't last very long. I have, as I've said, I've had Jared Cook jersey that didn't last very long. I've got a number of ones that didn't pan out, but the Alexander one did.
I bought this Jordan Love jersey, obviously. So I bought it the year that they drafted him. And I knew when I was buying it that he probably wasn't going to play for a few years.
Yep.
So over the last couple of years of the Rodgers era, I was getting a little nervous. I was like, what if he doesn't pan out? What if they decide to trade him for some reason instead of him becoming the starter? So I sat on this jersey. And then, so when last year finally came, I was like, yes, finally get to pull it out of the closet. But yeah, I don't have an answer for if I was to buy an active roster jersey right now. I have players that I like. I have players that I love. Reed, Dobbs, Josh Jacobs, but who knows how long Josh Jacobs is even going to be around? Who knows if
McKinney.
Yeah. Dobbs, so Reed, I feel like is going to be around for a while, but how long is he going to be as productive as he has been? Right?
We didn't get into that in the actual Packers episode. We got into a little bit
Yeah.
about Reed being the good of the good, bad, and ugly, but I agree. Not only did he come alive late last season, but to have that game he had against Philadelphia, this guy,
Yeah.
man, if he can stack some of these performances, there's our number one wide receiver.
Yeah.
And not only is he our number one wide receiver, but he's the guy and a guy that you give a big contract to in 2 or 3 years when that time comes. Because my God, he looked unstoppable on Friday night.
Even in our conversation throughout training camp, even before the game this week or before the Eagles game, I was thinking about it, and we didn't really talk about him a lot. He wasn't talked a lot about in training camp. We had a lot of talk. I know we were like, well, Packers don't really have a number one wide receiver, but, each practice it was like, oh, it looks like Dobbs might be the guy. Oh, it looks like Christian Watson might be the guy. Dontavian Wicks, maybe he's the guy. But we really never talked about Jayden Reed, and he was the guy last year. So it was kind of cool to see week 1, he comes out and he's the guy again. And actually, I saw right before we started recording, I saw a post. It put up some stats comparing Jayden Reed's first 85 touches in the NFL compared to Tyreek Hill's first 85 touches in the NFL. And Reed has more yards, more touchdowns, more. I can pull it up here.
Well, this is something too where, okay, so maybe the Colts realize that Reed is the guy, and let's scheme against Reed. Let's make sure we limit Reed, right? And we're going to find out here over the next couple of weeks. Maybe not, because Malik Willis probably isn't going to throw. We should probably talk a little bit more about Malik Willis here in a second, but maybe we won't find out anything about our receivers over the next couple of weeks. But it could very well be that on Sunday against the Colts, it's Dobbs that has the game this time around, or Kraft has the game this time around, because now the entire defense is focusing on this one player when there's someone equally as talented. But yeah, Reed he's shifty. He can catch the ball. He makes plays after he catches the ball.
Well, and LaFleur puts plays into the offense to get Reed the ball. So if Malik Willis isn't cutting it, getting him the ball, LaFleur is going to throw in a jet sweep like he did this last week. He's going to put in some wrinkles to get his playmakers the ball. So, and as far as who's going to have the big week with Malik Willis being the quarterback, honestly, it's probably going to be the shorter route guys, which is Jayden Reed. He's a slot receiver. He's across the middle type guy. You're probably going to see the tight ends. Kraft was the guy that stood out against the Eagles, but Musgrave definitely has the ability to perform in the middle there as well, and then dump off passes to Josh Jacobs or whatever running back is on the field at the time. So I foresee those type of guys being the ones that catch more of the passes and have more passing yards, as opposed to Christian Watson deep balls or Romeo Dobbs, deeper middle routes, or Dontavian Wicks on a post route type thing. I don't see a lot of that happening with Willis as the starter.
We really don't know what we have out of him. I mean, you can look at Willis's stats, and if there's any ray of light that comes from this, is that the Packers do seem confident. LaFleur seems confident in Willis. His stats do not tell a very good story. I mean, if he throws a touchdown for the Packers, it'll be his first NFL career touchdown, and he's been in the league since 2022. So this is his third season.
Have you looked at any preseason stats for Malik Willis? I was perusing through YouTube last night, and I didn't watch the video, but there was somebody on YouTube who was reviewing Malik Willis's preseason performance. And I'd be curious to see how he looked through the preseason because he was the backup there, so he likely got some playing time throughout the preseason. I'm curious if those stats are better than what his overall career stats were as a starter for the Titans.
So he started 3 games in 22 in the preseason, completed 28 passes on 51 attempts in those 3 games. So not crazy good numbers there. Had 318 yards, which these are probably, maybe anywhere from a quarter to a half of football. So you're averaging 100 yards a half. Let's just put it that way. In 23, 2 games started, 41 for 62. 66% completion percentage, 485. So maybe should have done this on the computer so I could blow it up for you. But one thing that stands out to me is his completion percentage went from 55% in 22 to 66% in 23 to 74% just this last preseason where he played 3 games, went 20 for 27, had 205 yards. So he had a pretty good preseason, and he was a guy that was drafted early on. He's not like a 7th round or a walk-on quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
And better completion percentage than Anthony Richardson last week.
Yeah, and it's not giving me if he threw any preseason touchdowns or anything like that. So unfortunately, I don't have that stat. I could probably maybe find a different page. But what I'm seeing from that particular slide is that he's continually improved every single year over year on his production.
That's promising.
Correct. Yeah, you just can't find any stats on preseason on this guy.
That's okay. I would probably want to watch more so than just look at stats. I'd want to see how he, what his demeanor is in the pocket and his scramble ability. That's interesting to me because, like we talked about, I think he's going to go through his progressions. If it's not there, I think he's going to tuck it and run. I think that's what LaFleur is going to tell him to do. So we may see him with 50 rushing yards and 150 passing yards.
If he gets 150, that's better than Caleb Williams did on Sunday.
Yeah, so on Sunday, so I actually spent all weekend we were up by Lake Superior. My grandpa owns a cabin up in Cornucopia, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Kind of by Bayfield. My sister had invited us up there. So I actually watched the Packer game on Friday night at the cabin on my phone.
Oh, no.
While everybody else was sleeping.
What?
So, but I was able to watch it. Yeah, I was able to watch it. But then on Sunday, when all the other games started, we were actually driving back. So I missed most of the noon games. And then I watched a little bit of the Cowboys game. And I did watch the Sunday night game.
Christian, do you actually watch
the Bears
football?
Game. Yes, I do.
Didn't watch a lot of preseason football. You're watching week 1 Friday night on your phone while everyone's sleeping.
It's so difficult. We have one TV in our house. We have one TV. It's in the living room. It's the only place in the living room to put a TV. And I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old.
But your wife likes football, right?
She does. And honestly, my kids like Packer games. They don't mind watching football, but there are plenty of times where I have football on the TV and my oldest is, can we watch Scooby-Doo? Can we watch Bluey? Can we watch? And I'm like, but let's watch football. You like watching football? Let's watch football. No, I want to watch Scooby-Doo. So then I turn on Scooby-Doo and I pull up my phone and
the rest is history.
Just kind of yeah. So I've found over the last few years, it's very difficult for me to catch a lot of games. Packer games are for sure on the TV. I force my family to watch football if it's a Packer game.
Yep.
But the rest of the games, I kind of have taken a back seat, letting my family take over the TV if it's not a Packer game. So
I hear you. Malik Willis's Madden rating is 63. We're golden.
Very good.
No, it's bad. That's very bad. No, we really have no idea what to expect from him whatsoever on Sunday. Just don't turn over the ball is his key to victory.
Right. Yeah. That's the biggest thing is he needs to be a game manager. I think they need Jacobs to step up. I think they need the defense to step up. I see it being old school football game for the Packers. Run the ball, stop them on defense, run the ball, use the clock. It probably is going to be a pretty boring game.
It's going to be a very boring game. I mean, a 13-10 type of game, not a 23-21 type of game. Hey, you got the Packers winning at least. I'll take it.
Yeah. Well, and talking about the type of game that I foresee it being, we could get into some prize picks. I have a few prize picks for the game ready to go.
Before we go there, just let me look at the rest of the schedule. But we should do prize. But yeah, go ahead, do a prize pick. Go for it. I don't have any. These recordings on Tuesday nights. It's too early in the week for me to even think about prize picks. Yep.
Yeah, it really is. And it was difficult for me to. So if you go to prize picks right now and you search just Packers players, they only have 3. They have Jayden Reed receiving yards, Josh Jacobs rushing yards, and Christian Watson receiving yards. Those are the only 3 they have out there. They have nothing with Malik Willis, nothing with any of the other receivers. So it's tough to make some strategic prize picks right now, so early in the week. But I did a few. There's a couple of Colts players on here too. So I have Jayden Reed over 46.5 receiving yards. Again, going back to the way I think this offense runs, I think a lot of across the middle stuff, dump off stuff, wide receiver screen type stuff. And Jayden Reed's the guy for that. So if one of the Packers receivers is going to go over 50 yards receiving, I think it's going to be Reed.
Okay.
Josh Jacobs, I have him over 67.5 rushing yards. Again, that's the way the offense is going to have to run. It's going to run through Jacobs.
You don't think the defense will be playing the run, though?
Yeah, I'm sure they will. But that's why one of my keys to the game was the trenches. This offensive line has to step up and get some push up front and open up some gaps for Josh Jacobs to hit the hole. Jacobs didn't have a huge week last week, but he showed some flashes. He looked decent. Wilson looked good.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Wilson, he looked real good. He had some good chunk plays.
It's almost like I said that he should be ahead of A.J. Dillon on the running back roster.
Yeah. Well, A.J. Dillon's on season-ending IR, so
there he is.
That's the option. I want to see Lloyd get out there.
God, I hope. I mean, I know, right?
I mean, if it's not going to be Jacobs, I want to see him out there. So, because I think he's a hard runner, and I think
he'd be a great surprise weapon on Sunday, where you don't have any film on him, you don't really know what to expect. Oh, okay, Jacobs is on the sideline. Oh, here comes Emmanuel, or not Emmanuel. Sure. Here comes Floyd. I want to call him Floyd. Here comes Lloyd. Comes in, surprises you, gets all shifty on him, and okay, so we got Jacobs over on rushing yards. You have Reed over on passing yards. What else you got?
I got Christian Watson under 36.5 receiving yards. So
God, it's such a tough one.
Yeah, I mean it's a low number, but again, I'm going back to the way I see this game going. I think it's a lot of short passes. I think it's a lot of run game. So Christian Watson might not be very involved because Christian Watson is a big play.
He's the deep ball guy. Yep.
So he's a deep ball guy. So it does. If he catches one deep ball,
and you'll be like, loses, no.
Right. Yeah. Moving on to what they had available for Colts players. So this is one on Prize Picks. You can't pick the same player twice. So you can't pick, Malik Willis passing yards and rushing yards. You can't pick the same guy. So
like how you're throwing Malik Willis out there, like anybody would pick him to do anything.
I mean, I'll probably throw a prize pick out there for him if they got one.
Okay.
But Anthony Richardson. So you'd have to pick one of these in your Prize Picks lineup. But I have him under 208.5 passing yards or over 46.5 rushing yards. So my mindset there is his game last week. I mean, he only threw for 112 yards with those
212
big passing plays.
Yep.
Or 212. So, I mean, you take one of those big plays out, and he's under 208 passing yards right away.
Yeah.
The over on rushing yards, my mindset is the Packers get after him in the pass rush, and he's going to have to roll out and run the ball more because the Packers defensive backfield is strong and going to have guys covered up. He's going to have pressure, and he's going to have to get out of the pocket and run it. So that's why I have him on the over for rushing yards. And then finally, I have Jonathan Taylor under 72.5 rushing yards.
All right, real quick.
Yeah.
So you picked between passing yards or rushing yards for Richardson. You took the running side, or you took under 208?
I took under on the passing yards, over on the rushing yards.
Oh, so you can take them twice.
No, you can't. So these are just you'd have to pick one of the two of those.
Which one would you take? Passing.
Probably the under on the passing.
Yep.
I
think that's probably the safest one that you said so far, is that he's under 208. Yep. Okay. Then Taylor?
Yeah, the last one is Jonathan Taylor. I have under 72.5 rushing yards. This may be just hopeful that the Packers run defense holds up.
Run fence.
But
I like that.
But yeah, that may be a Packers fan, the Packers fan in me picking that one, but I hope they shut Jonathan Taylor down. I hope that Anthony Richardson can't throw the ball anywhere and they have to settle for field goals constantly, or even turn it over on, have to punt constantly. So that's my prize picks for week 2, Packers versus Colts.
Still have yet to make one this early in the week, but I like Reed over. I like Richardson under passing. And as far as the rest, man, that's a real who fucking knows.
Yeah, they're all tough ones, especially so early in the week. But there'll be more options out there. These lines will change, so we'll see.
I'm going to pull up week 2 schedule here. So we both completely failed miserably on our Survivor League. So in the interest of us not just giving up on this segment for the rest of the season, we're going to do a rebuttal. Week 1 did not happen. So let me find a schedule here that I can pull up on the screen. We'll look through our week 2 slates of games. I want to hear which one you're going to lock in for the guaranteed win. And we're going to try this all over again. All right. You see that all right?
Well enough. I already know who I'm taking, so.
Well, I can blow it up. You know what? That was my window of opportunity to pull up the picture of Brad Childress, and I just blew it so badly.
That was pretty funny last week.
Oh, I got a kick out of that too. We'll bring him up sometime later in the season. So I haven't even had time to dissect this quite yet. I think I can fit all these games onto. Nope, there's a whole second half. All right, so Thursday night, Dolphins, Bills. Why don't we just run through some of these gut instinct real quick, and then you can go with your survivor pick. I'm going to take, I'll take Dolphins on Thursday.
Where is it at? Is it in Buffalo?
It's in Miami.
No, it's in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I'm going to take the Bills.
Really? The Bills did not look good in week 1. But okay.
They still got a W.
All right. Give it to you. Ravens against the Raiders. Ravens win that one. That could be a potential survivor pick. Panthers and Chargers. Panthers look god awful, so I'm going to take Chargers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Saints, Cowboys. 50-50.
Yeah, this is one. Yeah, this is one that I was kind of looking at for the survivor pick. So
really,
the way I approach survivor leagues. So looking through the schedule, I want to save the top teams as long as I possibly can. So like you mentioned the Ravens over the Raiders. Like, yeah, that's probably a sure thing. But you can't pick the Ravens twice. So if you get later on through the season, and the only teams that you haven't picked are the Panthers and the Patriots, then you're kind of stuck.
We couldn't even make it past week 1. All right.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I'm not worried
This
about week 10,
strategy
11, and
backfired on me
12.
right
I'm
away.
not worried about
But
10, 11, 12, 13 weeks. I'm just trying to get one win under my belt at this point.
well, so yeah, the way that I look at this Survivor League is I want to take teams that are maybe not very good playing against teams that are really bad and taking them when I can, and then saving these better teams for later on in the season when they have a first, a sure thing win. So, but yeah, the Saints and Cowboys, this is one I was kind of looking at for the Saints to possibly upset the Cowboys, but that's not the one I'm taking for my Survivor.
We're going to do, because it's only week 2 and it's just 2 of us, so we can change the rules however we want.
Right.
Every week we'll pick one guaranteed win, and then we'll see what our record is at the end of the season, right? So we're both 0-1. Let's just go that way, right?
All right. Yep.
Lions, Buccaneers. And so with that being said, we tweak the rules a little bit. You can pick the same team twice or 3 times.
Oh, okay. So you just guaranteed win.
Is that entertaining or no?
Maybe I feel like a lot of people are going to know where the guaranteed wins are. There's not a lot of insight.
Yeah. Let's not do that. You can still only pick the same team once. Let's just do that. All right, Lions, Buccaneers. I would take the Lions in that game.
Yeah, I would too, but the Bucs looked good. They played well. But I can see them upsetting the Lions.
The Lions looked really good.
The Lions did not look really good.
They played a way better team than the Buccaneers played.
Did they?
Yeah. I don't even know who the Buccaneers played. They played the Commanders, yes. And the Buccaneers won by 17 against the Commanders. Jacksonville and the Browns. Ooh, I'll take Jacksonville in that one. Vikings, Niners. Got to go with the Vikings in that one. They're the hottest team in the league right now.
Yikes. Yikes.
Patriots, Seahawks.
I don't know if that was as much a Viking win as it was just displaying how awful the Giants are.
Yeah, the only other team that has serious concerns at quarterback outside of the Cleveland Browns right now is what fucking team were we just talking about?
The New York Giants?
Yes, the New York Giants. Daniel Jones. What were they thinking giving that guy all that money?
I have no idea.
Bad. He was never really good. What? Yeah.
I don't know.
Patriots, Seahawks. I'd assume the Seahawks in that one, but can the Patriots pull out a second surprise victory?
I don't know, man. They may go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I agree. Jets and Titans, I would take the Jets.
Yeah.
Commanders, Giants, I would take the Commanders. Cardinals, Rams, I would take the...
What are you going to say?
The Cardinals put up a really good fight against the Bills. I would take the Cardinals. With them being at home.
That really good team that the Lions just beat.
I know.
You said?
Yeah, I know.
They're going to get beat by the Cardinals?
Hey, I have the Cardinals in the playoffs, motherfucker.
What is so the Cardinals? Yeah, they played a decent game, but so I have Marvin Harrison Jr. on one of my fantasy teams. He had 1 catch for 4 yards. Like first round draft pick. What are they doing?
Yeah, how do we got this broke down? Cardinals. Well, Murray ran for 57 yards rushing. Yeah, they did not really. They spread out the ball, quite frankly, looking at their stats. Yeah. Harrison Jr. finished dead last out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 receivers who caught passes in that game. So,
wow.
Yeah, that's pretty shocking. Yeah, I assume you'd take the Rams, or would you stick with the Cardinals?
I'd probably take the Rams.
Okay. Steelers, Broncos?
Ooh. Probably the Steelers.
I'd take the Broncos. I'd take the Broncos. Broncos played better than I expected. And who's their quarterback again?
Bo Nix.
Bo Nix. Let me take a look here. Where are the Broncos? So they held in there 20-26 against the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks you have as a playoff team. Bo Nix, that's some bad stats. Ooh, 26 for 42, 138 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. That's somehow more passing yards than Caleb Williams, though. So good on him. Yeah, I'll take the Steelers. Good point.
Yeah.
Chiefs, Bengals. God, what the hell happened to Cincinnati?
Yeah, that was a big surprise. But I think they bounced back. I'm gonna take the Bengals in this one, honestly.
Joe Burrow does have a tendency to beat up on Patrick Mahomes. Decent stat. I mean, he went 21 for 29, so his completion percentage was there for Burrow. 164 yards, no touchdowns though, no interceptions.
I mean, if we're talking games that I'm definitely going to be watching this week, it's this one on Sunday.
Yeah, it's a good game.
Yeah.
It's good on paper. It's maybe not good on what we saw last week, but Bengals Chiefs should be a good matchup. I would take the Chiefs though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you for that. Chiefs are very good.
Chiefs did not skip a beat on Thursday night. We're going to hit my power rankings next, and then we'll probably wrap this thing up shortly after. But
I got power rankings too.
Ooh, very nice.
I did my power rankings this week.
Very nice. Yeah. The Chiefs look like they're not fucking around. They know that three-peat or Chief Pete, as Peter Schrager says, is impossible feat to accomplish in the NFL. And they look like, again, overreaction after week 1, but they looked really good in week 1.
They did. Yeah. I think week 1 was so odd. We had the big games on Thursday night, Friday night, Sunday night, Monday night. They were all big games. They were all pretty good games. But the rest of the slate, the rest of the week was just so odd and so disappointing. I feel like week 2 is going to be like a turnaround for a lot of teams. I think we're going to see a lot of, like, week 1, there's people that are down on certain teams because they didn't perform well, like the Bengals. And I think week 2, a lot of these teams turn it around and play like everyone expected them to before the season started. I think week 1 was maybe an outlier type week.
Yeah, the teams that win in week 2 are typically, that have won back-to-back weeks like that. There's might be some validity to what we're seeing. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. That any of those teams that started like I'm just kind of looking at this, right? So Bengals, Rams, Packers, Jets, Browns, Jaguars. Let's just throw the Colts in there. Ravens, like these are all your 0-1 teams. So you'd have to imagine that 75%, 80% of those teams are going to come away with a victory in week 2. They're not going to fall 0-2.
Yeah. Bears,
Texans. I think the Texans, that's going to be fun. Texans are going to just kick their ass. I'm looking forward to that one.
I think they're going to obliterate them.
Yep.
That's just the fact that the Bears won without any without any offense is insane. And then, God, because like I said, I was on the road during the noon games on Sunday. So I didn't know really what was going on with the game. And then by the time I got home, I saw like all the notifications. Caleb Williams in his first NFL game gets the win and blah, blah, blah. And I saw pictures of him like smiling and arms in the air, like victory, And then once I finally saw the stats and how they won the game, I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is ridiculous.
It was tougher to watch because, again, it's okay. Just hang on to it, Tennessee. Like you're up 17-0. Just hang on to it. It was the block punt that's going to happen. I can excuse that one, but that fucking interception that he threw just gave him the ball.
Yeah.
I'll take Eagles over Falcons and the Monday night game. Yeah. So that leaves us with survivor picks. Which one are you going with out of these matchups?
I'm taking the Washington Commanders.
Okay. It's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, the way the Giants look, I know I picked the Giants last week and honestly, like I said, that's my strategy. I don't think the Giants are a very good team, but I also didn't expect the Vikings to play as well as they did. So I thought Giants could squeak out a win and then, use up that bad team early on. This is another matchup where the Commanders don't expect a lot from them this season, but I still think they're better than the Giants.
So using the assumption that we can't use the same picks, which I'm totally okay with, I'm going to go for the dub, and I'm going to take the Texans this early on in the season.
And I'll watch Caleb Williams going to throw for 500 passing yards.
So congratulations, Chicago. You are officially 2-0 because I don't know how to pick games anymore. Would not be surprised whatsoever, but I do think Texans at home and that Bears team has a lot.
Yeah.
I wonder what the spread is on that game. Texans, Bears. Texans are 7-point favorites.
Yeah.
Commanders are only 1.5-point favorites.
That's interesting.
Yeah, the only other game that is higher than the Texans Bears matchup is the Ravens and Raiders.
Yeah. The sure thing.
Yep.
But I don't know. I was gonna say, oh yeah, you never know. The Raiders could pull out an upset. Probably not. Raiders looked pretty bad.
Yeah. The Ravens should have won that game. I mean, they had just
so that touchdown,
maybe not should have won, but they had just as good of a chance of winning that game as Kansas City did. Which brings me to our power ranking. My power ranking, I guess, is where we will start, and then we'll hit yours up. So you don't have yours where you can blow it up. So we will just run through mine, and we'll see how we compare. Let's just start from the top. Who do you have at number 1?
San Francisco.
You do.
Yeah.
You shifted on me because you were talking shit about Kansas City being number 1 last week.
Watching that Monday night game, the Niners looked damn good, and that was without Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. One could argue that Kansas City played a better team on Thursday than what San Francisco played, and I almost went back and forth and put Kansas City in mine.
The Jets were the top defense in the league last year.
And what happened to them? That's wild. They couldn't stop the run at all.
Yeah.
So I assume then, too, you have Kansas City?
Yes, I do.
So it starts to get interesting then when we talk about 3. Who do you got at 3?
I have the Eagles at 3.
Okay. Wow. A little bit higher than me. I got them at 5. What has you thinking the Eagles deserve that? Because they beat such a superior opponent like the Green Bay Packers, or just that they're stacked?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Well, no, the Packers are a good team, but just the performance that Saquon Barkley put on, Jalen Hurts as well. Jalen Hurts looked good. Their offense was running on all cylinders, and the defense. I mean, the defense wasn't necessarily great, but it was decent. I just think that offense is going to be really difficult to stop this year.
Yeah, I put Detroit at number 3 in my power rankings, up 2 spots from number 5 in week 1. I think that kind of a similar thing that I do like the Rams. I think the Rams are a playoff team. I have 3 teams coming out of the NFC West, and it went down to the wire. They squeaked out a win, but I think that's a talented and motivated Detroit Lions team, so I bumped them up 2 spots. I put Baltimore at number 4, only dropping 1 spot from week over week because they played the Kansas City Chiefs, and that's a competition thing. And again, it's a game of inches. Who knows? I mean, he gets that toe inbounds. The Ravens go for 2. Mm-hmm. It's a whole different dichotomy of what these power rankings could potentially look like.
Yeah, I have Baltimore at number 4 as well.
Who do you have at 5 then?
I got the Lions at 5.
So we swapped our Philly and Lions. So if Lions played Eagles, you'd say the Eagles would beat the Lions?
I mean, that'd be a very good game. Honestly, the performance that the Lions put on against the Rams, I don't think the Rams are as good of a team as it looked like against the Lions offense.
Going out, that's a problem.
Right, yeah, that makes a big difference. But I mean, they didn't really get their run game going. Their defense was suspect. But the Lions, looking at Amon-Ra St. Brown really wasn't a factor. Jamison Williams was their top receiver. He played very well, but neither running back really stood out too much. I don't know. The offense just looked a little sluggish to me. So I don't know. That's kind of how I felt. They looked a little sluggish.
Well, they didn't play a single snap in the preseason. Remember that.
Right.
Yep.
Right. They didn't look as formidable as number 3 in the power rankings should be to me.
Yep. Number 6.
I got Houston.
So we agree on that one. All right. I got Houston
Yep.
as well. Up 3 spots. I had them at 9 the week prior. Number 7.
I'm right along
You're
with
there
you
too.
there.
Wow.
Dallas Cowboys.
This is fun because we didn't share these with each other. So we're in agreement on our 6th and 7th picks. Number 8.
Actually, our 8 and 9 are just flip-flopped. I have the Bills at 8 and the Dolphins at 9.
Yeah, it's a toss-up. And again, these are teams that play on Thursday night. You took Buffalo to win. I took Miami to win. So, of course.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So that's how that's going to go. And then finally, do you have Packers at the top 10?
I do. Come on now. Pour another Packers podcast. We're not going to drop the Packers out of the top 10 just because our starting quarterback's hurt.
No, and it's really interesting. You look at, I almost feel like we should have a separate spreadsheet of where we maybe place some of these teams. And I tried to do that. Like as I moved Miami into number 8, I was like, yeah, they were probably the number 11th team. And then Dallas I have at 7. I'm like, yeah, they were probably the 12th team that I had last week. I would probably put them that way. It'd almost be fun to have the rest of that spreadsheet because there are teams that dropped out. If I look at, the Jets probably dropped down to 14, 15-ish, somewhere in there. The Bengals, what the hell happened to them? They're probably a little bit ahead of the Jets, so maybe they're 13, 14. Otherwise, the rest of these teams mainly survived my picks. But like Buffalo is a tricky one. You have them above Miami. I don't know. I think they put together a better second half, but I don't feel like that game should have ever been close to begin with.
Yeah, I think the Josh Allen factor it makes a difference. He basically willed them to a win, and he can do that week in and week out. So,
anything else you want to talk about before we check out?
The only other note that I wrote down right before we started recording, I saw a post. Apparently, Adrian Peterson, is in some financial trouble. Did you hear about this?
No. Doesn't surprise me.
I just thought it was interesting. Adam Schefter tweeted, former NFL running back Adrian Peterson has been ordered by a Houston judge to turn over numerous assets as a means towards paying a debt that is estimated at more than $12 million.
Child support.
Yeah,
all those NFL players just have 12 kids.
I was in the middle of running through notes and I was going through stats and stuff like that, and that all of a sudden popped up on my Twitter feed, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's the only other thing I had written down. Let me double check my notes here. Let's see. Yeah, that's about it. I mentioned the PFF team of the week. 2 Packers made it on the team of the week. Jayden Reed, Zach Tom, right? Zach Tom.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah, we got to see a little bit of Jordan Morgan on Friday night. I thought of you too because he gave up like a quarterback pressure. Maybe it was a sack, but like he got pushed backwards like on the particular play. I'm like, oh, look at that. Jordan Morgan's in the game. And he just got rocked by whoever. But I think that's Elton Jenkins is the jersey I would get.
Yeah.
He'll be there a while.
Oh, man, we've been on for a while. The app is asking me if I'm still around.
Yeah. 2 hours, 1:59:59.
Man, we really don't know how to cut these things short, do we?
Well, I think our regular episode was only like 35 minutes long, so we did it.
Yep. Yeah, that one will be fine.
Yep.
And this is overtime. Overtime could go on forever.
It literally could. There are no
ties.
Heard
about 15 minutes ago, I heard my wife head upstairs to bed.
And I got to pee. So we're going to wrap it up for overtime. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Subscribe, click. You want to give us any promos, clickbait stuff on the last of our 2-hour recording?
Jordan Love, I know you're probably resting and recovering, but
and listening.
If you wanna chat, we would be happy to have you. I might throw that in at the end of every overtime. It's gonna happen.
I got done editing the overtime last week, and I told you I was gonna put that at the start of it, and I'm like, shit. Yeah. But the start was just so perfect with the overtime beer. So, all right. On that note, till next time. Christian and I will see you on the internet. Sayonara.